And now we want to join
Greg Feith.
Greg Feith, with, who used to be with the NTSB.
Yes, former investigator with the NTSB. Hi, Greg. Can you hear us?
Hi. Sorry to be on the air with you under these circumstances.
Yeah, a very tragic situation. Greg, from what you've been able to see, where are you, first of all? What part of the country
are you in? I'm in Colorado. I just got back from a trip, and I'm heading actually to Arkansas tomorrow, and then Nashville 2 days from then. So
I'm sure you have seen a lot of the videos maybe that are out there. From what you've been able to look over, what's your view, if you have one, of what's happened here, and what are some of the early signs that you'd be looking for in this investigation?
Well, there are a lot of videos. There's one specific video that actually shows the airplane in the takeoff, the latter part of the takeoff sequence, where it looks like the nose has come off the ground. Couldn't really tell if the mains are off, but it's apparent that there was some sort of catastrophic loss of the left engine or something on the left side, presumably the left engine. And with that, the aircraft wasn't able, if it was a total loss of that engine, the aircraft being heavy since it was heading to Honolulu probably had anywhere from 30 to 35,000 gallons of fuel and then whatever cargo load. It's heavy, low, and slow. And when you lose an engine that late in the takeoff, it's very difficult to get the airplane airborne.
Greg, I'm going to take a pause here. We're, for the first time, showing the video recorded here of the actual. This is exactly what the other interview we just had explained. The jet taking off there, trying to take off. It's left side on fire, and then the explosion. This is a video of this jet crash happening here in Louisville. The aviation legal expert we interviewed said he believed the plane maybe got 175 feet to 200 feet off the ground.
Well, they're probably looking at some of the online, what's called ADSB, Automated Dependent Broadcast Surveillance, which basically is a better fidelity radar. But there's always some noise in that data, so you can't take that until the investigators actually get the actual data, not only from the flight data recorder off the aircraft, but any then ground-based ADSB data that'll come from the FAA. That'll give investigators the best fidelity to determine if, in fact, the airplane did get airborne and how high.
And Greg, you've probably seen the video as it's taking off, I take it. And so as we're looking at it now, the fire that's in the back of the plane when it first starts, would the crew have any chance of being able to, what would they know at that point when that fire first started?
Connie, that's going to be one of those questions that could be answered by the discussion of the crew members once the NTSB has recovered the cockpit voice recorder. That'll tell investigators, okay, the crew is aware that they just had an engine problem, an engine failure on the left side. They may not have understood or known the gravity of the situation because that engine sits so far back behind the cockpit. And unless you have a pilot who actually turns, almost 180 degrees to try and look out there, they may not have known that they had a catastrophic. All the engine instruments will tell them is that you had an engine problem or an engine failure, but it won't tell them. They probably got a fire warning as well, but they wouldn't have known the seriousness of that fire that you can see in the video.
You've investigated so many different types of plane crashes, Greg, with your time with the NTSB. How would a fire like this develop so quickly as the plane is just leaving the terminal there to take off?
Well, remember, they taxied out. Apparently everything was normal, and it was probably apparently normal or uneventful even through the initiation of the takeoff roll. But when you have those engines at maximum power for takeoff, that engine's working its hardest. So that means all of the stresses and strains on all the rotating components within that engine are under extreme loads. The core of that engine is spinning at around anywhere from 28 to maybe 32,000 revolutions per minute. So you have a lot of energy, a lot of torque, and of course a lot of stress on those component parts. So if you have a failed blade, because there is a series of blades, fan blades, and then turbine blades. And if you have a failed blade in there that then punctures a fuel line, all of a sudden now you will have a catastrophic explosion like this. We've seen this on other engines. We had a 777 coming out of Denver about a year or so ago, where they lost the engine in flight, had a large fire. Fortunately, they were able to at least subdue the fire, get the airplane back on the ground. So when it happens at low altitude like that, especially during the takeoff where you have the maximum power, maximum fuel flows, you're going to get a large fire like that if it's an uncontained failure.
Greg, we are going to stick with you with some questions, but we want to let you know we're getting ready to go to the Kentucky governor at Louisville Metro Hall any minute now. Louisville Metro Emergency Services also putting out right now that they are continuing the shelter in place from the outer loop northbound to the Ohio River. They are telling people to avoid as best you can any smoke from the airport. Very serious situation, and they're asking you now to turn off any air intake systems as soon as possible, and that would be closing any windows on what has been a comfortable fall day here. A lot of people have windows open. Greg, I want to pick back up with you. The nature of the MD-11, can you talk to us about that with 2 engines on the wings and then 1 engine there on the tail?
The MD-11 is a bigger version of the old DC-10. When McDonnell Douglas, which then was purchased by Boeing, was trying to update the DC-10 for better fuel economy, better fuel range, and hauling more people, they stretched the DC-10. That is, they made it longer. They added winglets to it. They put additional fuel tanks on the airplane in the tail so that they could get longer range out of it. And while it was in passenger service for, quite a while, it was never really the optimum airplane for servicing the needs of the airlines. Again, you got 3 engines. Well, then when airplanes like the 777 came out, and a variety of other 2-engine large passenger-carrying jets, that really pushed the MD-11 out of service, but it became a very good cargo hauler, and that's why the FedExes, the UPSs, these cargo haulers are using the airplane, because they were converted. They can handle big, large cargo containers, and they can carry quite a bit of cargo. So it's always been in service, really, for the last maybe 10 years now, as really a working airplane for the cargo haulers.
The fire is still burning. So how is that going to complicate this investigation? I mean, we've been talking about the amazing number of the pounds of fuel on board. This plane was fully loaded for a 9-hour flight, and they still haven't been able to get the fire out yet, Greg.
Yeah, that's and a lot of that, the fires, because of where the airplane crashed, I think some of that was probably some in industrial areas and buildings and that kind of thing. So once the fuel from the aircraft was dispensed out of the wing during the impact sequence, now you've set structures on fire. So while parts of the airplane may have or are being consumed while these fires are still burning,